Requests for information and completing an RFI form are important tools in the construction industry. Many times in construction, there are conflicts in the contract documents, drawings, or specifications that may require clarification in order for the contractor to fully understand exactly how to proceed with the work. In many cases, the contractor or subcontractor does not become aware of the need for more information or clarification until the work is about to take place. Why is that? A project that includes a set of drawings with over 1,000 sheets of information is bound to include some missing or wrong information, no matter how much coordination and review is performed by the design team and the contractor. Even the simplest of projects usually end up with some need for clarification at some point during the project. Let's review a simple example of a condition that will require further clarification in order for the contractor to know how to proceed. If you look at the bottom left corner of the drawing, there's a note clearly stated on the drawing to repair an existing door. Furthermore, this opening was covered at the time of the bid, therefore the contractor could not view what was behind the covering. However, reading this note, you would assume that there was a door there that was covered up that the owner wanted to repair, simply repair the door once the cover was removed. Actually, what happened is once the covering over the doorway was removed, the contractor discovered that there was no door in place to repair. This required the contractor to gather more information in order to know how to proceed. There are many communication options available to the contractor by which he can obtain the required information to solve this problem. Some of those methods available to the contractor would include simply making a phone call, sending a text message, writing a memo or a letter and sending it to the appropriate party, or issuing an email. The problem with the four examples that we've listed are none of them represent a real system of being able to ask those questions and obtain the answers. And in the construction industry, consistency is a key in being able to manage this whole process. And after all, you'll need to probably be able to find those answers later and to be able to share them with other parties. One of the most common methods used to ask clarification questions is to issue an RFI or a request for information similar to what you see on the screen. An RFI form, such as the one in this example, allows the contractor to assign a number to the request, which makes it easier to track later. It also allows the process to be carried out using consistent communication methods. RFI forms are commonly completed by hand, but they can also be typewritten. Items commonly found in an RFI form, as with any correspondence, include who the RFI is to, who it's from, which project it's for, what's the date of the RFI, and who's going to get copies of it. In addition, an RFI form includes a place to assign a number to the RFI, number 1 through ever how many you end up with. There's also a space for the question to be asked, and there's also a space to insert when the answer is required. That answer required by blank is usually driven by schedule. So you want the answer in time to be able to solve the issue and move on without impacting the schedule. In addition, the RFI form includes a space for the answer and a space for the person who answered it to sign it and date it. There are many opinions in the industry about the best way to approach an RFI. However, usually the simplest approach is the best. In other words, state the question or the issue as simply as you can. Using a simple approach will allow the person on the receiving end that has to issue an answer or a clarification to the RFI to be able to easily understand the problem and be able to frame the answer in a very simple way in return. Let's look at an example of how we might complete an RFI to get clarification on how to proceed for the example that we discussed where we uncovered an opening where there was supposed to be a door and discovered that there was no door. In this RFI, we assigned it RFI number 1. It's the first RFI that we've issued on the project. We've filled in all the normal items at the top, who the RFI is to and who it's from and where the copies are going to go. We're going to give a copy to our field office and we're going to put a copy in the file. The question is stated very simply. The drawings indicate a door to the exterior from the warehouse is to be repaired. During the demolition, it was discovered that a door does not exist. How are we to proceed? The answer is required by 8/8/2012. If you'll notice in this example, we didn't offer any solutions. We just asked the question. Now, there are a lot of opinions about whether or not a solution should be proposed as part of an RFI. A lot of people feel that a contractor is being paid a service. He's professional. If he has an opinion about what the solution ought to be, he should present it. In this example, however, we just asked the question. Once an RFI has been issued, it should be entered into a log, similar to the one you see here. Our RFI log includes a place for us to include the number of the RFI, a general description of what the RFI was issued for. It doesn't have to be word for word in most cases. What date it was submitted and the date the answer was requested. Once the answer is received, you can log in the answer, the date it was received, and whether or not the answer to the RFI finally resolved the issue. Having a system like this allows the contractor to be able to keep up with all the requests for information in one place and be able to easily discuss it and see what the status on each RFI is at any given point. So we issued the RFI on the 1st of August and we requested the answer by the 8th of August. And if we take a closer look at what actually happened, on the bottom of the RFI in the space where the answer was given, the owner said to install up to a 3/0 by 7/0 flush hollow metal frame and door with a closer and lever style lock set to match the rest of the hardware. Send a proposed change order for the cost difference. And that answer was given on 8/2, so it didn't impact the schedule of the project, and we got a clear answer how to proceed with that issue. So now that we've gotten our answer as to how to proceed with the opening that didn't have a door in it, we can update our request for information log to reflect the clarification that we received. We would update the log the day that we received the answer. We would insert a paraphrased version of the answer, the date it was received, and whether or not it indeed resolved the question, and it did. In summary, using an RFI system allows the contractor to have a consistent format by which he can ask questions or get clarifications to inconsistencies in the documents. It's an easy to use format. It can be handwritten, it can be typewritten, but in any event, it's an easy format for someone to pick up spur of the moment, ask a question, try to get an answer. It's easy to retrieve the information because of the way that the information is placed in a log. So every RFI that's been issued can easily be viewed in one document. All this helps the contractor to manage risk. Risk is easier managed when there's one format, one consistent format by which the contractor gets answers to questions and one place where those answers are kept during the course of the project.